A man entered his bedroom at 9:15 p.m. The door was locked from the inside. The windows were sealed. The next morning, he was gone. No footprints. No signs of struggle. No explanation. This is the terrifying mystery of Thomas Reid, the man who vanished without a trace. It was a cold autumn evening in the small town of Blackwood. The streets were quiet, and a thick fog slowly rolled through the town as the sun disappeared behind the hills. At the edge of town stood an old 3-story house owned by a retired schoolteacher named Thomas Reid. Thomas was a quiet man in his late 60s who lived alone after the death of his wife. The neighbors described him as kind but mysterious. He rarely spoke about his past and spent most of his time reading books or writing in journals. One Friday night, Thomas followed his usual routine. He had dinner, watered the plants on his balcony, and greeted his next-door neighbor before returning inside. At exactly 9:15 p.m., the neighbor saw Thomas enter his bedroom on the second floor. The bedroom light turned on, and the curtains were closed. No one saw him again. The next morning, something unusual happened. Thomas failed to open his front gate, something he had done every day for years. Concerned, the neighbor knocked on the door several times. There was no answer. After waiting for hours, she called the local police. Officer Daniel Brooks arrived shortly after noon. He checked every door and window around the house. Everything appeared normal. The front door was locked. After receiving permission from Thomas's relatives, the police entered the house. Nothing seemed out of place. The kitchen was clean. The living room was untouched. His reading glasses sat on a table beside an unfinished cup of tea. Then they went upstairs. Thomas's bedroom door was locked from the inside. Officer Brooks knocked several times. No response. Finally, the officers forced the door open. What they found shocked everyone. The room was completely empty. Thomas Reid had vanished. The bed appeared slept in. His slippers were beside the bed. His wallet was on a small desk. The house remained empty. Dust covered the furniture. The garden became overgrown. Children avoided the property because they believed it was haunted. Then, 10 years later, something unexpected happened. A young writer named Ethan Walker purchased the abandoned house. Ethan specialized in writing books about unsolved mysteries. When he learned about Thomas Reid's disappearance, he became fascinated. He decided to restore the old house and investigate the mystery himself. While cleaning the attic one afternoon, Ethan discovered a small wooden box hidden beneath loose floorboards. Inside the box were dozens of journals. Every journal belonged to Thomas Reid. Excited, Ethan began reading. Most entries described ordinary daily life. But the later journals became increasingly strange. Thomas wrote about hearing noises inside the walls. He claimed objects moved on their own. Several entries described a recurring dream. In the dream, Thomas stood inside a long hallway filled with doors. At the end of the hallway stood a shadowy figure. The figure never spoke. It only pointed toward a single black door. The final journal was the most disturbing. Its last entry was written the night Thomas disappeared. The entry read, "Tonight, I finally understand what the dreams mean. The door is real. I found it behind the wall. If these notes are discovered, do not follow me." That was the last sentence Thomas ever wrote. Ethan was stunned. A hidden door? Behind which wall? He searched the entire house. For days, he found nothing. Then one evening, while examining Thomas's bedroom, he noticed something unusual. One section of the wall sounded hollow. His heart raced. Using a small hammer, Ethan carefully removed part of the wooden panel. Behind it was a narrow passage. Nobody had ever discovered it. The passage led downward into darkness. Ethan grabbed a flashlight and entered. The tunnel stretched beneath the house. Dust covered the floor. No footprints. No signs that anyone had entered for years. At the end of the tunnel stood a heavy iron door. Its surface was covered in rust. Above the handle were strange symbols. Ethan hesitated. Then he slowly opened it. Behind the door was a small underground chamber. The room contained only one object. A wooden desk. On the desk sat another journal. The final journal. Ethan carefully opened it. The handwriting matched Thomas Reed's. The journal revealed an unbelievable story. According to Thomas, he had discovered the tunnel years earlier while repairing part of the house. Inside the chamber, he found evidence that the house had once belonged to a secret society. Members believed certain doors could connect different places and different times. Thomas dismissed the idea as nonsense. Until strange things began happening. He claimed that every time he entered the chamber, his watch showed a different time when he returned. Sometimes minutes had passed. Sometimes hours. Eventually, Thomas became obsessed. He believed the iron door was not merely a door. He believed it was a gateway. The final pages became increasingly frantic. One entry read, "Tomorrow night I will step through completely. If my theory is correct, I may never return." The journal ended there. No more entries. No explanation. No answers. Ethan searched the chamber repeatedly. There was no second exit. No hidden tunnel. Nothing. The mystery remained unsolved. But something happened a few weeks later that made the story even stranger. One rainy evening, Ethan received a letter. There was no return address. The envelope contained a single photograph. The picture showed an elderly man standing beside a lake. The man looked exactly like Thomas Reed. On the back of the photograph were 6 handwritten words. Some doors should never be opened. No one ever discovered who sent the photograph. Thomas Reed was never found. The letter remains one of the most mysterious pieces of evidence connected to the case. To this day, people still debate what happened inside that locked room. Did Thomas stage his disappearance? Did he escape through the hidden tunnel? Or did he truly find something beyond human understanding? No one knows. And perhaps some secrets are meant to remain hidden forever. The end.